What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Endless TBR. My name is Christian, and this is my YouTube channel where I love to talk about books. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to click on this video, where I'm going to provide an update for how my reading is going for December 2025, as well as do a little book haul segment. I've never done a book haul video on my channel before, usually because I don't buy a lot of books on a monthly basis. I try to limit it to like 2 to 4 books a month usually because I already own a lot of books that I haven't read. And so I'm trying to like control the inflow mostly for space's sake in my apartment. But this month I did go a little crazy. I just really wanted to go out and buy a bunch of books. So I wanted to share the books that I purchased. But first, I want to talk about how my reading's been going for this month and what books I've read and just some quick thoughts on them. So, as far as the month has gone, it's been okay. I've finished 3 physical books and 2 audiobooks. I have a long ways to go if I want to meet my goals that I set up in my December video, but things are kicking off a little bit at work. I've been getting some overtime opportunities, which is never a bad thing for my wallet, but it's not the best thing for getting reading time in. So the good news is, as of today, filming this video, I'm now on a 5-day PTO stretch where I have no plans for the next 5 days except to just sit on my couch and knock out some books. So hopefully I chip away at a lot of books over the next 5 days. That is the plan. But let's get into the books I have finished, and I'm going to talk about them in order that I've read them. The first book that I finished is called You Again, and it is by Nick Spalding. If you watch my channel, you'll know I've been listening to a lot of Nick Spalding lately. This is actually my 9th audiobook in a row by him that I have listened to. I've been getting a little burnt out on him. The 2 books that I listened to him in November were Totally Fine and Logging Off, and I thought they were both meh, like 3 out of 5 stars. So I was like, I'm gonna finish You Again, and then I'm probably gonna take a little break from Nick Spalding. Luckily, You Again was a lot better than the other 2. I found it much more enjoyable. The book is about this married couple that absolutely hate each other, and they end up vacationing at a new location. They're divorced. I should mention that too. They're married, they hate each other, they divorced. They're now dating new people, got a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend, and they end up vacationing in the same location. They go to the Maldives, which is actually where they had honeymoon together. They really enjoyed the honeymoon vacation, and then so they wanted to bring their new partners to that location to just experience it with a new love interest. They run into each other, they absolutely hate each other, and so they're just constantly sabotaging each other's vacations, and it was very funny. Like, it's obviously super silly and all kinds of outlandish things happen in a Nick Spalding fashion. The characters in this book, even though they're in like their like mid 30s, I want to say, act like little kids. Like they're like poisoning each other and doing all this stupid stuff. But it was highly entertaining. It's like the perfect like shut your brain off and listen to an entertaining story on my drive to and from work. So this one I did enjoy quite a bit. I didn't go straight into a new Nick Spalding book, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I do think moving forward, I'm going to go like Nick Spalding book and then a different book, and then a Nick Spalding book and then a different book, just because I am still feeling the burnout a little bit. But luckily, You Again kind of like it made me realize again why I like listening to Nick Spalding is just because sometimes it's just ridiculous, silly entertainment, and You Again definitely did that for me. So that was the first book that I finished. The second book that I finished was Mentats of Doom by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. If you are a Dune fan, if you like Frank Herbert, I don't know if you're gonna like the Brian Herbert stuff. I've been enjoying it. It's definitely not on the same quality as Frank Herbert's stuff. I consider the Brian Herbert stuff just like simple to read, popcorn sci-fi that is set in the Dune universe, and I just love being in the Dune universe a lot. And so I have been reading through these books and enjoying them quite a bit. This one was no exception. Like, I will say Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson stuff is very consistent. Like, if you enjoy one of their books, so far from I've read, this is the 5th book by them that I've read. I think if you enjoy one of their books, you'll probably enjoy most of them, at least so far. If you do not like Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson stuff, I don't think this book or any of the other books I've read by them are going to win you over. But as far as their stuff goes, this was a entertaining book. It was a nice follow-up from the Sisterhood of Dune, which was the book 1 in the Schools of Dune trilogy. What I will say about this trilogy so far, from what I've read, is it does feel more focused than the Legends of Dune trilogy. My main issue with the Legends of Dune was that there was just so much going on all over the place, and I felt like there was so much fluff to it. Like that trilogy could have been cut down into one book that would have like done the trick in a much smaller page count. Don't get me wrong, the Schools of Dune trilogy still is very beefy. Like this is over a 600-page book, so is the first one. There's like 20 different POV characters and all this side stuff happening, but it does feel more focused. It feels less all over the place, and so I've enjoyed the Schools of Dune books more than the Legends of Dune books so far. This one focuses more on the Mentat school that's been established by Gilbertus Albans based on the name Mentats of Dune. You can guess that. But Gilbertus Albans is a character that I've come to like a lot more in these last two books. He was introduced in Battle of Corrin, and he didn't have too much to do, but in Sisterhood of Dune and Mentats of Dune, his character's come a long way, and I've come to appreciate him a lot more. And with this book focusing more on the Mentat stuff, I did find all of the Mentat school like they're kind of caught in this interweb between the people that hate technology and the people that love technology. Whereas Gilbertus Albans was raised by Erasmus, the thinking robot. He has a tendency to side with the thinking machines a little bit more, but the Mentat school, its purpose is to outlaw like the thinking computers and have humans replace them as like the thing that does all the different calculations. And so they side more with the Butlerians, who are the anti-technology people, and I just love how Gilbertus is like caught in between this and is going back and forth between what he should do. So yeah, that is Mentats of Dune, a good 4-star read. I enjoyed this one. I think I liked it a little less than Sisterhood of Dune, but they're really close side by side. I think Sisterhood of Dune just felt fresh because it was introducing all these new characters and subplots and all that stuff, and so I appreciated it just a little more. But that is Mentats of Dune. The next book that I finished was A Valiant Vow by Justina Ireland. Yep, and this is the final middle grade novel in Star Wars: The High Republic. And as far as middle grade novels go, this one is definitely my least favorite of Phase 3. The other two Phase 3 middle grade novels were pretty big. They were like 400 plus, 450 plus pages. This one barely scratches over 250, and it's a fun enough kids Star Wars adventure. Basically, it follows Imri Kantaros, who is a favorite of mine from previous middle grade novels, as well as Tep Tep, who was in the other Phase 3 middle grade novels. And we get Churro the Hutt returns, which is a pleasure because I like this character a lot from Beware the Nameless. Basically they're on this planet once again, kind of fighting back against Nihil stuff. The Hutts are involved, and I don't want to give too much away because it really is a short book. Like this is an easy like sit down and read in one sitting. But overall, it was okay. It was a fun little adventure. I give it 3 out of 5 stars, and it just being the final middle grade novel and the third from the end canonically of the High Republic, it just felt like there wasn't really much going on in this book. Like for being the last one, I thought it'd maybe be a little more epic, tie a bunch of stories together. It did tie up like Imri's arc that's been going on pretty much since the Phase 1 middle grade novels, so that was cool to see. But besides that, as far as I've seen, the events of this book don't really play into the overall bigger picture, so that was a little bit disappointing. As being the third to last book in the entire trilogy of over 20 plus books. So, but that is A Valiant Vow. It was okay. It was just definitely my least favorite of the Phase 3 middle grade novels. Coming in next, I finished another audiobook, and this one is called The Good Samaritan by John Mars. This is the first John Mars book I've ever read or listened to. It came to me from recommendation by my fiance, who read it and absolutely loved it. I told her I was kind of looking for a break from Nick Spalding stuff, and she recommended this. And boy, oh boy, this is one of the most entertaining things I've read in a very long time. I absolutely loved it. It was a 5 out of 5 for me. I do not want to talk too much about the plot because it's a thriller and it is very twist heavy. So if I give even a hint of what the twists could be, I think it detracts a lot from the book itself. But what I will say is the book follows this main character. Her name is Laura. She works at a suicide hotline called End of the Line, and it's supposed to be this like impartial hotline where people call in who are having a hard time in life, and people like Laura are just supposed to sit there, listen. They're not really supposed to sway them in any excuse me, particular direction. They're just there to be like an ear to listen to the person voice their grievances. The thing is, Laura is a really messed up person, and she has this like fascination with hearing people die. Like that is her thing, is she wants to hear like their last breath. So she uses her position at end of line to basically convince these people that call in who are in like a vulnerable state, and she tries to convince them to end their own lives, and she wants to be like an active role in that process because she wants to hear their last breath. Like that is her thing, that is her mission. And it is a messed up story, but it is really really like crazy entertaining. Like I said, the twists are wild and things I did not ever see coming pop up in here. And what I like in this book too, when I was listening to it, is there's this book I read called The Teacher by Frida McFadden. And in that book, all of the characters are awful people. And it was just the sheer entertainment value of seeing these awful people battle it out with each other to see who comes out on top. And when it comes to The Good Samaritan, I felt the same exact way. I'm like, I realize that all of the characters in this book are terrible people doing terrible things, but just the sheer pettiness of what happens in this story just kept it so entertaining for me. And while it is a harsh subject to listen to, like if you're sensitive to like the themes of suicide, and especially listening to somebody as a character who is encouraging that to happen, like I totally get it if that is not your thing. But as somebody that just I was in it for the shock value, I got the shock value. And it was, like I said, a wildly entertaining read. And I definitely plan on checking out more John Mars books. And I've learned that I always need to take my fiance's advice on what books to listen to, because everything she recommends, I always really enjoy. So I think John Mars is going to be like the new guy that I go back and forth with Nick Spalding with. I'll do like a Spalding book, a Mars book, a Spalding book, a Mars book. Very two opposite sides of the spectrum, which I feel like is something that I need. I need the break from the silly Nick Spalding stuff. So that is The Good Samaritan. Definitely recommend it to anybody who likes just messed up thrillers with terrible characters, terrible in a good way, to like horrible people but good characters. So that is that. The next book that I finished is Into the Light by Claudia Gray. This is the final YA novel in phase 3 of Star Wars The High Republic. And this one I enjoyed a lot. I've been really impressed with the last two YA novels. Oh, I'm trying to remember the other name of the Tears of the Nameless. That's what it was. I was looking at on my bookshelf over there. Tears of the Nameless was the second to last YA book, and then you have Into the Light, which is the final YA book. And I've been really impressed with those last two books. Like I really enjoy. They've focused on Reith Silas a lot, who's one of my favorite characters. I've loved his progression. Like he is truly a Jedi Knight in these last two books. And in Into the Light, especially, he's actually in charge of a mission. There is a blight that has appeared on Kashyyyk. And so Reith Silas is tasked with getting a task force together that includes like Buryaga and Aslan Rel, the Dark Jedi, and Kalneka, who's another Wookiee Jedi. And they have to go to Kashyyyk to try to like study the blight, figure out what's going on, and stop it. And I just love seeing Reith Silas's progression, how he's really become like he's a tortured character, but he really has become like a leader in his own right, which is great from our first introduction to him back in phase 1 when he was just like a Padawan, just learning how to like basically get out of a library. Like that's all he wanted to do was read books, and now he's like a full on team leader, and I've loved seeing that. And I felt like these last two YA books, especially Into the Light, have just had a much more dark and mature theme to them, which I've really appreciated, because this book is it's dark. Like things happen in here that are like holy crap, like especially on the Wookiee homeworld. Like you don't want to see all the Wookiees die. We love the Wookiees. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this book. It's another one I don't want to talk about too much, but I've really enjoyed how these YA novels have felt like they've tied together things when it came to like the Nameless and the Blight and what they are, because I feel like that side wasn't really explored too much in the adult novels, and it's really been these last two YA novels that have kind of really tied together what that whole side of this conflict is about. Whereas the adult novels focus on the Nile more so, and Marchion Ro. These ones have been about the Blight and the Nameless and trying to figure out how to stop them. And this book definitely delivers on that. And it's one of my favorite YA novels in the High Republic so far. So there we go. That is that one. I really enjoyed it. I give that one a 5-star for sure. Now we'll get into the audiobook that I started that I am currently listening to. I'm about 25% of the way into it. It is called Mad Love by Nick Spalding. Surprise, surprise. Like I said, going to go back and forth now. This one's entertaining. This is about these two characters. and they basically they create profiles on this like dating website, and the dating website has this competition where they're going to match their two most compatible people together, and they're going to pay for an all expense wedding for them. Like they've never met each other before. They're just like, hey, you two are super compatible, we're going to get you two to get married, we're going to pay for the honeymoon, we're going to pay for the wedding, we're going to buy you a house, we're going to pay you a bunch of money. Basically, you're going to be rich, and then we're going to see how your relationship goes, because this like magazine wants to prove that they're like the ultimate matchmaker and can get two people to come together just based off their dating profile and lead them to like happy life. So that is like the setup for it. And basically we've been introduced to these two characters who on first glance seem pretty different, and I just got to the point in the book where they've been married, they are now on their honeymoon, and like I said, they'd never met before their wedding was when they met, and now they're learning to like get along as husband and wife. So it's been weird. It's been entertaining. There was a chapter from the girl's perspective that was hilarious, where she works in a strip club, and her professor, who's basically like flunking her in class, is she finds out is a regular patron of that strip club, and just a super funny chapter where they're interacting with each other in the strip club. And I thought it was really, really funny, which is great because that's where Nick Spalding shines the most. So like I said, like 25% of the way through that one, but I'm excited to keep it going. And then the book that I'm reading is, of course, Trials of the Jedi, the final novel in Star Wars: The High Republic. Man, I was reading this all morning before shooting this video. I knocked out about 200 pages this morning. I'm about halfway through the book right now, a little over halfway. I was worried going into this book because I did not feel, before opening this book, I did not feel like this was the final novel. Like I felt like there was just way too much open-ended stuff that hadn't been resolved, and there's no way they're going to tie together the High Republic in 500 pages. I should not have doubted Charles Soule. I was wrong. I have loved this book so far. Something about Charles Soule's writing, like, I haven't finished this book, but I can already tell. Light of the Jedi, the very first Phase One book, and Trials of the Jedi are definitely going to be my two favorite Star Wars High Republic novels, because Charles Soule just has a way with words and with plotting and writing in the Star Wars universe that makes everything so gripping. Like this has truly felt like the Avengers Endgame of Star Wars: The High Republic, and I've been so invested in it so far, and I'm loving it and seeing all of these characters from 26 books now. I haven't even read the comics, but 26 books all coming together in this epic conclusion, and I'm so into it. And every worry that I have about there's no way that they're going to wrap this up, I'm no longer thinking that. I'm ready for this to be over, to see how it concludes, and I'm so excited for it. So that is the book I'm currently reading, Trials of the Jedi by Charles Soule. It's been great so far. So that is what I've been reading. This took a lot longer than I thought it would. I have a tendency to ramble. So let me quickly show you some books that I bought, because I really want to include that in this video. I'm going to start off with the big one. I bought this box set, I guess you'd call it, but it is the Charlie Bone. That's upside down. This is the Charlie Bone box set, all 8 books in the Charlie Bone series by Jenny Nemo. And this is a series that I read when I was a little kid. I never finished it. I think I read the first 4 books, but I remember liking them a lot. And for some reason, they just popped into my head. I was like, I remember the Charlie Bone books. I like these. And so I decided to get the box set, and I plan on reading them in the very near future as part of like my nostalgia reads, because I want to go back into it. I want to finish the series this time, and I just want to see if they hold up, because I remember liking the first at least 3 a lot when I was in like middle school, early high school, around that time in my life. So that is the Charlie Bone 8 book series right there. And then I went to my local Books a Million, and I love my local Books a Million because they have like a discount section where they have all these books for like $5 to $7 in that range, and they're all usually brand new. Some of them have like minor cosmetic damage. In that area, which is why they're discounted. I don't mind that stuff. I find all kinds of great books in there. I found so many Stephen King books in the discount section, and I've been slowly building my Stephen King collection based off the Books a Million discount section. So I bought 5 books recently that I wanted to share. So the first one, speaking of Stephen King, is I found Cujo for like $6, brand new. Really excited. I did not own this one. I don't know too much about it, but I know it's about like a dog and it's apparently really scary. My fiance said this book scared the crap out of her. I've seen a lot of people online say that this book scared the crap out of them. So I'm really excited for that. I know that one's actually I'm reading Stephen King in publication order. I know that one's coming up soonish. Not yet. I still have a ways to go, but soonish. The next book that I bought is called The Nightwalker by Sebastian Fitzek. I have no idea if I pronounced his name correctly. I probably didn't, but this was just kind of like a blind pickup that I picked up. I thought it sounded really interesting. So the plot is, as a young man, Leon Nader suffered from insomnia. As a sleepwalker, he even turned to violence during his nocturnal excursions and had psychiatric treatment for his condition. Eventually, he was convinced that he had been cured. But one day, years later, Leon's wife disappears from their apartment under mysterious circumstances. Could it be that his illness has broken out again? So I thought that sounded really cool. So I ended up picking it up because it was only like $7. So that is that one there. Another blind pickup is this one, We Have Always Been Here. I just thought, based off the title, that that sounded really, really cool. The author's name is Lena Newen, Lena Newen. And this one says, misanthropic psychologist Dr. Grace Park is placed on the Deucalion, a survey ship headed for an icy planet in an unexplored galaxy. Her purpose is to observe the 13 human crew members aboard the ship, all specialists in their own fields, as they assess the colonization potential of a planet Eos. But frictions develop as Park befriends the androids of the ship, preferring their company over the baffling complexity of humans, while the rest of the crew treats them with suspicion and outright hostility. Shortly after landing, the crew finds themselves trapped on the ship by a radiation storm with no means of communication or escape until it passes. And that's when things begin to fall apart. So I there's a little bit more there, but I didn't really want to read the whole thing. But it gave like alien vibes, and so I was really interested in it, and I decided to pick it up. So kind of another blind buy. I've never heard of it before, but I just thought the inside cover sounded really cool. The next book that I got is this one right here. It's called Warriors of the Altani by Robert Jordan. I know Robert Jordan did The Wheel of Time. It's a series I've always wanted to read, but I'm a little intimidated by. And I saw this book on the shelf, and I was like, I don't think this is part of the Wheel of Time series based off of what I've read online. This isn't his most highly reviewed book, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to read a Robert Jordan book and just see what he's about and see if I enjoyed it. It was only $6, so I decided to pick it up. But yeah, so I picked this one up as well. And then the last one I bought in the discount section was this one here called Sundial by Catriona Ward. And the reason I picked this one up, I have no idea what it's about. I haven't even read the inside cover, but I read another one of her books. It's actually on my shelf here. It's called Little Eve. And I didn't love this book, but I did like it and I found it enjoyable. But I really liked Catriona Ward's writing style. And I said to myself, if I ever see another book by her, like in the discount section, I'm gonna pick it up just to read it and see if maybe there'll be another book by her that I like more. Because like I said, I thought her writing style was really cool. I saw Sundial on there and I was like, you know what? It's only like $5. I'm gonna pick it up and read it. So I have no idea what it's about, but I'm really excited to get into it. And then lastly, this one I paid full price for, but I saw it on the shelf and I knew I had to pick it up. And that is the classic H.P. Lovecraft collection. As far as I can tell, because this book is 900 and something, like 915 pages long. I think this is everything he's ever written. I have a very skinny collection of some of like Lovecraft's most popular stuff behind me on my shelf here, but I saw this one and I was like, this seems like it's the whole collection. So I picked this up because I really like what I've read from Lovecraft so far, and I want to dive into this and just read all of it. I think this is one I'm going to start next month and just slowly start chipping away at it over the course of a few months to just experience all of his stuff. Because I feel like Lovecraft, when you're a horror fan, especially cosmic horror, he is the guy, and I love cosmic horror, and so I want to read all of his stuff. So that is that one right there. And it's a beautiful book too. It's got one of those like colored pages on the side. I don't own any books like that besides my copy of Dante's Inferno. So I was really excited to get this because I just thought it looked really cool. It has like space and stuff on it. So yeah, but that is it. That is my update video. That is my little book haul video. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a long one, so if you stuck through the whole video, thank you so much. If not, that's okay too. I still love you. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Christian. Be on the lookout for more videos, and I will catch you next time. Peace out.